Thank you very much. I have that desire that every speaker has at this moment to see if the technologies work. Um, Good morning. My basic reason for being here is that in 2013 I was diagnosed with stage 4 oropharyngeal cancer, and I was treated with radiation and chemo, and so I'm just over 5.5 years. I lost speech completely for about 3 months. I lost 20 kilograms, which I've put back on, even though my radiation oncologist encouraged me not to do so. And I lost the capacity to eat, but I never completely lost the capacity to swallow, which I'm enormously grateful for, and I pay tribute to speech pathologists. In fact, I pay tribute to the entire multidisciplinary team that have created me. I want to remember to say this because I have 15 minutes and 5 minutes for questions with your box. And I really want you, please, to ding a glass at 10 minutes because I really want to have the chance to take any questions or comments you have. But the single most important reason I've come here today is that I want to urge you, in whatever your role is, to do something active in the next 12 months to improve the experience of head and neck cancer patients. Hand up if you've seen a mask before. So you're a totally unrepresentative audience, and I will try to hold that in mind. But I believe what we need in Australia and New Zealand, and I'll talk about head and neck in Australia and New Zealand because that's the only authority I have to speak. My experience as a patient and now as a partner with clinicians and other patients to try and improve the experience and results of head and neck cancer treatment for my comrades who go through this. I'm on 3 Facebook pages that are international, but with a primary focus in New Zealand, the United States and the United Kingdom. So I'm in constant daily contact with people who are getting their diagnosis. So this isn't just the past for me, it's the present. And the thing that I want is national guidelines on best practice to guide the preparation of the head and neck cancer patient and their family before the first radiation treatment for the experience of the mask. Of course no one was there when I had my mask made. Let me sum up the trauma. My beloved 94-year-old mother, with whom I have been closely engaged in care at a very detailed level for 20 years, she was a long-term invalid, died on the 29th of December 2018. Why am I mentioning that? Because after my first treatment in the mask, I immediately got sweaty and hot and palpitations and red-faced. I just couldn't believe what was happening to me. I had been told that I was too small for the robot. You'd know what I mean by that, the robotic surgery that would go down through my mouth. So they'd have to go through the side, and I would lose speech and eating for the rest of my life. So I'm lying there, click, 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 and I realise I'm in a panic situation. And I'm thinking, 1, there's a whole lot of people waiting outside, and I don't want to keep them waiting. 2, I want to speak and eat for the rest of my life. 3, suck it up, Julie. You can cope. Got through the first session, which from the time they left the room to they came back in, one of my team are here today. My memory is that I was in there for 20 minutes alone. My treatment was a long treatment. But when I got outside after that first treatment, my partner was outside, so I hid in the toilet for a few minutes because I didn't want her to see what was happening to me. And then I went into the car and I sobbed uncontrollably for about 15 minutes. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, I didn't cry again until the 29th of 12th, 2018. I froze. I had 3 more sessions where I tried to ask my radiation therapists for help. They could see me, I could see them. I said, please, every 5 minutes, just say, hello, Julie, going well, 15 to go. I'd been a radio broadcaster for years. I was used to being in a glass box, being watched by people, with them communicating with me. The same in television. I had an earplug in my ear. So I said, just talk to me, give me some reassurance. For various reasons, it never worked. There's no time to go into that now. I heard things like, or I had silence. What emerged was that this incredibly caring group of people were too busy with their technical role to assist me in that box. And there wasn't an allocated person in the team to keep checking how I was managing and to offer me psychological support. So after the 5th treatment, I broke down. I thought, God, I'm going to have to die. I can't do this. And I went and sobbed and told the nurse, and she said, oh, why didn't you tell me before? Most of them in there are bombed out of their minds to cope with the mask. We can give you some mild sedation. We can send you to a clinical psychologist. You can bring your own music, which I did, the same 4 tracks for the duration of the treatment, so I could monitor the passing of time. All of that was offered to me, and it really helped me to cope. The nurse held my hand for the next 4 times I was clicked in. I was like a child. I'd regressed to a very frightened child. Now, obviously, my point is, why was I not briefed on these options before my first treatment? And what I've learnt from contact with literally hundreds of patients and clinicians since is that it's hit and miss in Australia and New Zealand, the preparation that you get. And what I'm asking you to do, wherever you are, is to, 1, contribute to the development of national guidelines, and 2, make sure your head and neck cancer patients get help in advance. Explain that it can be hard for some, and we can offer you help if you need it. So why have I got photos? No one was photographing me. I lay there and I said to myself, if you survive this, do whatever you can to help others to never go through this same experience. So those 3 organisations I'm part of are all clinical groups, and I'm a voluntary patient ambassador, and we've worked to make all sorts of audiovisual and written materials as resources for you guys to share with your patients. And so this is a film that is on the Targeting Cancer website, targetingcancer.com. What I'll do is I'll give to the team these links. But if you just Google Targeting Cancer, it comes up. It's under the Faculty of Radiation Oncology in the Royal Australian New Zealand College of Radiologists. So it's all with the clinicians in partnership. So you can see I've come here with an agenda to urge you to help us not suffer. But of course, this is really about an amazing new technology which may, in time, offer hope for people like me. I'm just clicking through as I go. This is a patient book that I've co-edited, and again, I can circulate an e-version. It's full of articles, the one on the right, by patients from around the world, head and neck patients, their stories and what helped them survive, and leading clinicians. The one on the left, a wonderful example from the United Kingdom of trying to raise awareness about these cancers, because obviously early detection, or indeed even prevention through the HPV vaccine, stopping smoking and reducing drinking, is the best way, but at least other people are doing great work to raise awareness. But this is the radiation oncology group I'm referring to, and that is Dr. Sandra Turner, the clinical lead, and she works all over the world trying to inspire multidisciplinary radiation teams to improve the experience. Now, the ultimate improvement for me would be if this technology that we're talking about today could become good enough to reduce the level of head restraint. I'm trying to come on point for you because you've been gracious enough to give me this platform. And my experience working with radiation oncologists is they are I'm talking just about head and neck cancer, right? Because am I right in thinking this would be one of the biggest challenges for this technology, right? Because you don't want to hit those bits of my brain or my spinal cord that will do more damage than even if you get rid of the cancer. I might not be able to walk or speak or think. Is that the guts of it? Give me some nods, guys. Yeah. So for radiation oncologists to trust surface-guided technology enough to even cut the mask open, let alone get to a point where we might, my dream, remove the mask, is going to be a technical challenge and a cultural challenge. And I guess as a patient, what I want to say, and by the way, we were making a little video here that is available explaining the value of radiation, which is what radiation targeting cancer is basically about, that proportion of patients who could benefit from radiation who currently aren't getting it. They're advocating for patients to say, ask your doctor, is radiation possible for me? Because there is some evidence that surgeons don't always refer when they possibly should. And Sandra Turner is in scrubs because she's just run from a theatre doing a procedure to make a little video. Voluntary. That's dedication. And there are patients and clinicians who are that dedicated. And there are patients and clinicians in teams who are doing brilliant work to prepare patients for the experience. The boy on the right is from St James Hospital in Leeds in the United Kingdom. A marvellous play therapist called Lobka Marsden is working to prepare the young children to wear the mask so that they don't have to anaesthetise them. As you would know, giving too much anaesthesia to children is dangerous to their brains. And what I'm saying to you guys is use some of these techniques with adults. I was 59, but emotionally I was around 5. I'm whipping along, but are you still with me? We need creativity and empathy in action, because even if you do manage to develop this technology to the point where you can reduce or even eliminate, God help us, wouldn't that be amazing, the mask, right now, today, people will be being diagnosed in Australia and New Zealand before this technology is available. So I need you to be improving and being creative in your preparation of patients and families now, while we get this technology up to speed. And my prayer is one day capable of helping us. How am I going for time? Am I at 10 minutes yet? Okay. So these are just some quick examples. And by the way, Lobka Marsden has won awards in the United Kingdom. She's just a play therapist. No, I shouldn't say just a play therapist. Kick me later, will you? But what I'm trying to convey is she's probably the lowest paid person on the team. But she is the one who saw empathically, oh my God, how can we prepare them emotionally for going into that bunker and being restrained by the head? And she has done this amazing work. And it's some people are starting to think, how can we do this with adults? Up on the top left-hand corner, that's me in Leeds. I was so keen to learn about how to do this well, I got myself to Leeds. Are you impressed? And that is a 6:1 scale model of their actual LINAC. This is for the children through up to the age 25 in what they call their paediatric and young adult unit. And that works like the actual LINAC, and you put Barbie and Ken on in case it's prostate. They've even got a tiny little mask to put on Barbie so that the child and the family, because the family can't support you if they don't know what's happened to you, can really understand what's happened. I've got 3 degrees, including a law degree. I am a brainiac. I'm a nerd. But when you told me I had stage 4 oropharyngeal cancer, I lost half my cognitive capacity. Whack. Just through shock. And then when I began to realise how freaky and bizarre the treatment was, whack, another third goes down. I had hardly any cognitive capacity. So yes, online resources and written resources are fantastic, but I'm arguing for the equivalent of medical models. If I go and get my knee done, the doctor shows me a knee. If my mother goes to the heart specialist, she used to get shown a model of a heart. Show us a model of a LINAC in your waiting room so we know what's going to happen in there. And it's not the shock of being taken into a room, bolted down by the head and abandoned, because that is happening to people. In the bottom left-hand corner there in red, I'm holding Barbie's tiny mask, and the one on the left is a brilliant Lego. And there are, I'll just quickly say before I go on to that, there are, in the United Kingdom now, they're producing Lego models of LINACs and they're selling them. Have you seen that? They're fantastic, and again, I can offer links to this. And they're going all over the world so that young children can build a LINAC with their play therapist, with their radiation therapist, with their family, so they know what they're in for. They put the little toy on, they put the little toy mask on, and it's all about psychological preparation. Because what I'm trying to convey to you guys is, I look well. Would you agree radiation has saved my life? Look at me, I can swallow, I can talk. I eat steak. Okay, I drink a bit of water with it, but I eat it. And I'm going a bit deaf from the radiation, but I don't care, I can get a hearing aid. But inside, I am emotionally scarred. It took me over 5 years to cry. My mother had to die. Do you know what it's like not to be able to cry? I'll tell you, give you a tip, it's not good. And it's not that I was a big crier before, but it's a part of the human condition we need. So, this on the left is a project at the University of Sydney being run by Professor Paul Keel and an amazing team. That lady there is actually a medical physicist, I think. Her name is Elizabeth Steiner, and she may be in the room. But anyway, she's a super physics brainiac. And they're doing work on what they call the Remove the Mask project. And in a way, it's a public development of the marvellous technology that you have. Obviously, this has enabled, in your world, the possibility of removing part of the mask at least. But I guess what my thing is to you, that even if we get it to the point of actually your service-guided capacity and the capacity to stop the beam if there's any movement and the precision of the radiation to get in, if we can get to the point where there's no mask, you're still going to need terribly good preparation for the patient to achieve that outcome. So my key message, if you haven't got it already, is give the same attention to the psychological care and the preparation of the patient and family as you do to our physical care. You're not a very expressive group, but that's probably because you're all physics-minded. But I think you're getting my message. So I think this is my closing slide. It is, that's good. Oh there we are. So, oops, sorry. On the left-hand side is a woman called Gail O'Brien. Have you heard of Chris O'Brien Lifehouse? There's probably some people from there. So Gail's husband was a leading surgeon who himself got head and neck cancer and died, or it might have been a brain tumour, I beg your pardon. But anyway, he wore the mask. And she has helped to launch our little book and is an example of a partner, a warrior for the patient. I want you to become warriors for the patient and the families. And on the right, we've got, from your left, Sandra Turner, the clinical psychologist, Lucinda here, who is another, Sandra is the radiation oncologist who leads targeting cancer. This is Lucinda, who is another radiation oncologist, and that's a leading nurse in the Cancer Nurses Society of Australia. And this is just one of a myriad of free talks that we do to try and raise the profile of radiation. So I think I've probably said enough. I hope I've been useful to you. I guess my main final message is, while I dream of the day we can reduce the mask or even eliminate it through this marvellous technology, it has to be safe. Not just because the radiation oncologist won't let us use it if we don't, but because while I'm traumatised, I'm alive, and I'd rather be alive and traumatised than dead. Now that might sound obvious to you, but once you've got stage 4 cancer, they're the kind of grim options you start to have. Am I making sense to you? So, traumatised but alive, tick. But I desperately hope that with all the skill we have, we can get your technology working well enough for the head and neck cancer patient. Do I have time for a quick question? Yes, thank you. So do you want to clap me? I usually run around with the microphone, but do you want to run? Has someone got a box?
Yeah, we have a box.
You know, a question or a comment? Tell me about what great work you're doing to prepare your patients. I'd love to hear examples. Yes, thank you. There's a lady at the back.
Right.
Can you throw it?
I'll go this way. You have to catch.
There you go. And then what? I just talking. Oh yeah. Oh, this is weird. I just have a question. So
Put it close to your mouth because I'm a bit deaf.
Okay. So I'm a radiation therapist, and I'm one of the people that make those lovely masks in CT. So you're saying you would have liked more information about, like, holding your hand, having maybe a sedative or anything. At what stage would you have wanted that information? Because being in CT, we give them so much information. I don't want to scare a patient off by telling them, you know, I'm going to make this mask and it's not going to be comfortable. And I don't want to get them too much information either, because it could scare them off, like make it more worse.
Could I thank you so much for your question, because I think you've gone to the heart of the matter. Because I've thought deeply about why are the caring people, I now have met hundreds of radiation therapists, radiation oncologists, cancer nurses and so on. I think, now why do these incredibly caring people leave us so ill-informed before those first treatments? To what, by any standards for an outsider, so you've become desensitised naturally to how bizarre it is. Both my brothers are medical specialists, my daughter's a doctor. I'm a member of the white coat culture. I know you have to get desensitised to cope. So I think the reason we've been told insufficient to prepare us is you're afraid we won't comply, to use the language of the industry. In other words, we might refuse treatment. And what I say to you is that it's about you developing the skills and respecting consultation with former patients and former family members, the skills of clinical psychologists who specialise in psycho-oncology. Improve work, research, evaluate your preparation for the patient, the head and neck patient, before the first treatment, as diligently as you improve your technology and your targeting of the beam. So that's one, I hope that's a conceptual answer. A specific answer, I've been to Princess Alexandra Hospital in Brisbane. I now go around hospitals looking at how they do it. Some examples of what I think are brilliant. They have a freestanding computer, like a what would you call it? Help me, guys, those flat things. Like an iPad on a stand. And a radiation therapist in his own time, not even for extra money, has created 3D representations of everything that happens once you get inside. So that it's in the waiting room. I don't have time to describe it further, but it is both visual and words, and family, friends, and the patient can look at it. On a separate stand they've got a psychological quiz that you're invited to do before you start, and then every 3 days during your 30 days of radiation treatment. I'm talking about head and neck now, obviously. And that gives them immediate feedback in detail, which you can fill in on how you're feeling and how you're coping. Let me travel, as I did, to Leeds, where they've got that marvellous linac there, so you can visually see it over and over again while you're waiting to come in. So there are many different examples of great work that's being done, both visual and other means for education, but we need to be fully briefed on the fact that some people find it hard, and we can offer you help in advance. Because what I see almost universal is, you whack us in there and see how we go over the first 2 to 3 goes. That's too late. If you're like me, new work has just been done by Professor Phyllis Butow, B-U-T-O-W, and Associate Professor Haryana Dillon at the University of Sydney, Department of Psychology, where they've gone to, I think it's 4 or 5 different centres, radiation centres, and they've interviewed both radiation therapists and patients about the mask experience. They're due to publish shortly. Again, I would love to offer it to you if you would like to see it. And I think the number was up around 27% of patients found it a traumatic experience. So you don't cause trauma and then try to fix it later. You do what you can to prepare. I'm sorry if that's been a bit long-winded, but I know what I want to remember to say. The single most important thing is a specially trained head and neck cancer specialist nurse. They've now got 2 of them at Chris O'Brien Lifehouse. I know they've got some over in Western Australia. In Australia, they're relatively few. I'm talking about specialist head and neck cancer nurses with special training, special conferences, special research and papers to each other. Because when you're dealing as a patient with all the different stuff you're being told, you need an anchor person that you can go back to who gets to know you and who can then re-deliver information to you, because of course you don't absorb it all, in real time as you go through your treatment journey, and who's got a good relationship with the team so she or he can on-refer you. In the National Health Service in Britain, that is a model that is commonly used. And so one quick example, and then I'll stop because I'm sure my time is up, but I just want to talk to Simone quickly. I've met nurses there in Leeds at St James Hospital, which is a leading hospital in Britain, and the nurse who's going to stay with you as your contact throughout your patient journey comes in with you to the radiation oncologist when he or she gives you the bad news. And she's with you then, and then they've got a separate room on the floor, which is the patient room, money raised by patients and decorated by patients, so it looks like a lounge room. And they have an hour schedule with that nurse, with the family, to get to know her and to answer the questions about what the hell has just happened in the other room. And that nurse stays with you until you've finished your treatment. That, combined with good information, I think gives the head and neck cancer patient a fighting chance of coping psychologically. So sorry that was long-winded, but come here. I just want, what have you said? What's your name and who are you?
My name's Simone. I live here in Sydney, and unfortunately we get satellite TV at home
that is the general TV satellite for Sydney, because we don't get the digital signal. Anyway, I was saying to Julie before that we get Northern Queensland and Northern Territory satellite TV, and we see Julie's ad on TROG Cancer Research.
So TROG is an Australian New Zealand researchers in the area of radiation therapy. In a nutshell, what do you see on the film?
We just see some of the photos she's got there, and
I'm in the mask, I'm on the linac.
And then you're walking and talking and showing how wonderful you have come out the other side. But what I was going to say is that a lot of people don't know what TROG means. No. So I think that ad is great. I know what you mean, but a bit more info would be good for the general public.
Yes, look, I agree with you very much. But I thank you so much, Simone. Why I wanted to just share that anecdote with you, it's a little film that's trying to promote radiation research, but it does show the mask and the linac. It's something I did on a voluntary basis, but it's only shown in rural and regional Australia. You just happened to get it because of your thing. And it's indicative of how hard it is to get cancer information out to the community, that they've made this very professional ad, but it's only in rural and regional. So when I go into the country, which I do a lot, I'm the star. Oh, you're the lady with the mask. But unfortunately, it's not shown in capital cities. So you make some films and get them shown to your communities, and thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.